Hi, this is Stacy Black, Bossier Parish Community College. We are in Module 3 of Math 099, Algebra 2. We are working on multiplying polynomial expressions. If you please would go to the class notes. We left off on talking about multiplying monomials. If you recall, a monomial is one term. And to multiply monomials, you first multiply the numbers in front, called the coefficients, and then you multiply the variables. And in order to multiply variables, you would add the exponents if the variables were the same, alike. Remember, you have the same base, you add exponents. So for this, let's go back and look at example 3 in the notes and make sure we all understand this concept. So I have 3 monomials up here. Negative 7x, 3y squared, negative z. I'm supposed to multiply those together. This is exactly like you would do in 3rd grade if I asked you to multiply 2 times 3 times 4. 2 times 3 is 6. 6 times 4 is 24. We're going to process this the same way. We're going to multiply the coefficients first, and then we'll worry about the variables. So let's look for our coefficients. We have a negative 7, a positive 3, and remember, this coefficient is understood to be a 1 with a negative in front. That's negative 1. So negative 7 times 3 is negative 21. Negative 21 times a negative 1 would make positive 21. Then we're supposed to multiply the variables. We have an x, a y squared, and a z. Well, they are not the same base. All of those variables are different. So you cannot do the product rule and add the exponents. So the way we solve multiplication of variables in algebra is we just write them side by side in alphabetical order. So we would just write x, y squared, z. So when we multiply these 3 monomials, we would get this as our expression, 21x y squared z, which is also a monomial. So there's really no work in multiplying monomials. We assume you can do it in your head. But you just don't multiply monomials. If we go to our class notes, you'll recall we've also talked about this semester multiplying polynomials, more than one term. So now we're going to talk about if we have a monomial and we want to multiply it to several terms, a polynomial. So we're going to look at expression 1. So we have in this expression negative 7y, our monomial, and we want to multiply it to this polynomial, which technically is called a trinomial because it has 1, 2, 3 parts. To multiply this, we just don't want to multiply this first term by the negative 7y. We want to multiply all these terms. And if you recall, that is called the distributive property. Remember, to distribute means to give to all. So we're going to give this negative 7y to everybody. And the way I show that is we talked about making little rainbows. So first we're going to multiply negative 7y to negative 2y cubed. Well, we're going to multiply the coefficients. Negative 7 times negative 2 is positive 14. Then we're going to multiply the variables. Because these variables are both the same letter, they're y's, we're going to add their exponents. Remember, if you do not see the exponent, it's understood to be a 1. So 1 plus 3 would make y to the 4th. But we're not done. To distribute means to give to all. So now we got to take our negative 7y and multiply it to our 8y squared. So again, we're going to multiply negative 7y, and that's a positive 8y squared. Coefficients, negative 7 times 8, negative 56. Y is y to the first. Y to the first times y squared. We're multiplying variables. We add exponents. 1 and 2 makes y cubed. But we're not done. We still have to distribute it more. We have to take our negative 7y and multiply it to our negative 1. So we have negative 7y times negative 1. Well, a negative times a negative is a positive. 7 times 1 is 7. This variable y does not have a variable to multiply by with, so you just bring it along for the ride. Now, you don't need to show this work. We're assuming you can distribute in your head, and this would be your answer. And if you look, this answer is still in the correct descending order. What does that mean? It means the exponents go down in size. So we have a 4, a 3, and a 1. We cannot add or subtract these terms because, remember, they're not alike. A y to the 4th and a y cubed don't look exactly alike, so you can't add or subtract them. Now we have to learn another way to multiply in algebra. And this way is going to be very important throughout our college math career. We have to multiply today binomials. What does the definition of bi mean? If you recall, bi means 2 parts. So I want to multiply these 2 terms. I want to multiply the binomial 2x plus 3 times the binomial 4x plus 5. Now, the easiest way to do this is to think of 3rd grade multiplication. Suppose I gave you 2 two-digit numbers. Suppose I gave you 23 times 45, and I asked you to multiply that in 3rd grade. Well, 3rd graders don't multiply horizontally. They line up their numbers vertically. And what they're technically doing is distributing. They start with the digit 5, they multiply it to 3, that makes 15. But then they're going to take the digit 5 and multiply it to the 2, so they're distributing. They're giving it to all. 5 times 2 is 10, and 1 is 11. But they're not done. The next thing they would do is put a placeholder, because they're done with the digit 5, and now they're moving to the digit 4. And they would say, okay, 4 times 3 is 12, put down the 2, carry the 1. 4 times 2 is 8, and 1 is 9. And what they would do now is they would add up these columns because they have things that are alike in these columns. 5 ones and no ones is 5 ones. 1 10 and 2 10s is 3 10s. 1 10 and 9 10s is 10 10s, which is really 1,000. If you can do that process, you can multiply anything you're given in algebra that's bigger than monomials. So when you're given binomials, which are like 2-digit numbers, all you have to do is line it up like a 3rd grader. You take the 2x plus 3, and you're going to times it by the 4x plus 5. I'm going to keep it in parentheses so I know I'm multiplying. You're going to start, just like a 3rd grader, with the digit 5. 5 times 3 is 15. The great thing is there's no carrying. You just write positive 15 down. But you're not done. You're going to distribute again. 5 times 2x would make 10x. And it's also positive. Now, just like 3rd grade, you'll put your placeholder. We're done with the digit 5. Now we're going to move to 4x and do the same process. We're going to distribute. 4x times positive 3 is positive 12x. 4x times 2x would be 8x squared, and that's also positive. Now if you look, all we have to do is add up the columns just like we did in 3rd grade. The great thing is, guys, you don't got to think about who to add to who. You already have all the like terms underneath each other. And plus, this will be in the correct descending order. So there's nothing to add to 8x squared. You bring it down. Because it's the leading term, we don't need to put a plus. Positive 10x and positive 12x are the same sign, so we'd add and get positive 22x. 15 plus 0 is 15. And there is your answer, already in the correct descending order. And this process works for anything bigger than monomials. So let's go to our notes now to the end. If you look at this last example, I don't want you to multiply binomials. I want you to multiply a binomial, 2 terms, times a trinomial, 3 terms. Again, this is like 3rd grade math. Think about the 3-digit number, 123, and the 2-digit number, 45. Which one would the students line up first? They would line up the bigger digit number, 123. So we're going to do the same thing in algebra. When I ask you to multiply a trinomial times a binomial, the trinomial gets lined up first. So we're going to put our x squared plus 2x plus 3. And we're going to multiply it by 4x minus 5. Again, all we're really doing, guys, is distributing, but we have now a system so we don't get confused. So we're first going to distribute the negative 5. Negative 5 times positive 3 is negative 15. Negative 5 times positive 2x would be a negative 10x. Negative 5 times x squared would be negative 5x squared. So we're done distributing the negative 5. We'll put our placeholder, and now we'll move on. Now we'll distribute the 4x. 4x times positive 3 is positive 12x. 4x times positive 2x would be positive 8x squared. 4x times x squared would be positive 4x cubed. Now that you're done distributing, you do not see any more parentheses, which means you either add or subtract. So you look for your like terms and you put them together. But this method, you don't even have to think. All the like terms are already lined up. So we have nothing to combine with the 4x cubed. It would come down. And because it's the leading term, we don't need to write the positive. Negative 5x squared and positive 8x squared. Different signs mean to subtract. Give the sign of the larger. Negative 10x, positive 12x. Different signs subtract. Give the sign of the larger. And then bring down the constant. If you look, we got 4 terms, a polynomial. So our answer to this multiplication is 4x cubed plus 3x squared plus 2x minus 15. And if you look, it's already in descending order. You don't even have to think. Well, I hope today proved to you that you can multiply anything in algebra if you just think about it being in elementary school like a 3rd grader. Have a great day.